Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one.
The introduction. In the quiet town of Maplewood, where tree-lined streets and cozy bungalows painted a picture of small-town bliss, an undercurrent of unease brewed just beneath the surface. It was a place where everyone knew everyone, where doors were seldom locked at night, and where children still rode their bicycles to school without hesitation. Yet in the crisp autumn of 2015, a storm was brewing, a storm that would send shockwaves through this seemingly peaceful community. The heart of this story begins on a cool October morning, as the sun's first light crept through the curtains of a modest home on Elm Street. Inside, Lucy Miller, a spirited 16-year-old with an infectious smile, was late getting ready for school. Her mother, Nancy, called up the stairs with gentle urgency, unaware that this was the last ordinary morning they would share. In the kitchen, the familiar smell of pancakes wafted through the air, but Lucy had no appetite. She rushed through her routine, flicking her hair into place, her mind buzzing with thoughts of her upcoming dance performance. As she grabbed her backpack by the door, Nancy noticed a glimmer of something hidden in her daughter's eyes, a spark of excitement, mixed with something else she couldn't quite identify. Pushing it aside, she kissed Lucy goodbye, waving as her daughter bounded down the porch steps and out into the world. Later that day, after a dull math lesson and a lively lunch with friends, Lucy left school, a smile still plastered across her face. But as the hours tripped by, the streetlights flickered on, and the lights in the Miller home remained dark. Something was terribly amiss, and the tight-knit community would soon find itself grappling with a tragedy that would change them forever. The victim. A day after Lucy Miller had vanished, the once serene rhythm of Maplewood was shattered. The sun rose reluctantly, casting a muted glow over the town that had begun to harbor a gnawing fear. At the heart of it all lay the story of Lucy, a girl glowing with promise, her life woven into the fabric of the community. Memories of her laughter echoed in the minds of those who loved her, and the vibrant murals she had painted on the local park wall served as a bittersweet reminder of her spirit. Lucy had been a beacon of hope. As the eldest of 3 siblings, she relished her role as a mentor, guiding her younger siblings with a kindness that endeared her to both peers and adults alike. She was a straight-A student, a budding artist, and a passionate performer who spent countless weekends rehearsing for her role in the school's fall production of Peter Pan. Friends described her as vivacious, creative, and unfailingly loyal. However, a closer look revealed her to be a complex individual, grappling with the typical turbulence of teenage life, longing for validation, and struggling with her sense of self. As the community rallied, the search for Lucy intensified. Posters plastered on storefronts depicted her smiling face, adorned with vibrant blue eyes and chestnut hair. The local news station covered the developing story with urgency, urging anyone with information to step forward. By the end of the week, hundreds gathered in Maplewood Park, candles flickering in the encroaching darkness, their soft glow reflecting the somber heartache that enveloped the town. But with each passing hour, the distinction blurred between hope and despair. As limited resources were stretched thin, the residents recognized a nagging truth: the idyllic town they had cherished was not immune to darkness. Lucy's absence was not just a personal loss for her family. It signaled a disruption in the fabric of their reality, leaving a gaping void in the lives of those who knew her. Meanwhile, unseen eyes were watching. and the suspense thickened as deeper secrets nestled in the shadows began to whisper unsettling truths. The crime scene. Days turned into an agonizing week, and as hope began to wane, the momentum for the search for Lucy Miller shifted. The police, overwhelmed with tips, but devoid of solid leads, mobilized their resources. It was a crisp evening when a local jogger stumbled upon something unusual near the abandoned quarry, a place shunned by Maya locations steeped in urban legends, where stories of lost souls whispered in the wind. The jogger, a high school teacher named James, was returning from his routine run when he noticed a disturbance in the underbrush. At first, he brushed it off as fallen branches, but as he ventured closer, a sickening dread coiled in his stomach. The metallic scent of rusting debris hung heavy in the air, and something about the ground was off. Beneath a blanket of dead leaves, the outline of a backpack emerged. Heart pounding, he pulled out his phone and dialed 900 in Dilla. As he waited, the reality of what he had found settled in a wave of nausea washing over him. The police arrived, their grim faces reflecting the urgency of the situation. Officers cordoned off the area, establishing a perimeter that kept onlookers at bay. With practiced efficiency, they began to sift through the debris, uncovering more than just the backpack. Inside, they found her school box, mottled with the grime of time, and a journal filled with Lucy's thoughts, a raw glimpse into a world that now felt tragic. The discovery sent ripples through the community. Stifled whispers of dread echoed in hushed conversations. Canvassing the scene, investigators worked meticulously under the fading light, throwing markers around singularly located findings. A broken hairpin, a scrap of fabric, and a torn-up photograph. Each object became an essential piece of the puzzle. A dark cloud hung over Maplewood, the grim reality that they were not searching for a runaway, but potentially for a victim, loomed ever larger. The town was irrevocably changed, and with it came an unsettling list of questions. Who would want to harm this bright light? What secrets lay buried in the shadows of the quarry? The answers seemed to elude them, lost amid the growing sense of urgency and a desperate need to bring Lucy home. The early investigation. As investigators combed through the evidence, the palpable tension in the air intensified. Maplewood, once a sanctuary of tranquility, was now engulfed in a shroud of uncertainty. Detective Sarah Reynolds had been on the force for over a decade. But this case struck a different chord. The victim was someone she had seen grow up, someone with whom she shared a familiarity that weighed heavily on her cup. Inquiries began with interviews, and the town mobilized, eager to assist but gripped by fear. Several officers fanned out across Maplewood, knocking on doors in an effort to piece together Lucy's last known move. A sense of urgency filled the mundane interactions, as each resident instinctively grasped the gravity of the situation. Was it someone in their midst? A neighbor they had trusted? The first person on the list was Melissa, Lucy's best friend, who had been in close contact with her in the days leading up to her disappearance. Her eyes remained red-rimmed, echoing the sleepless nights spent in anxious waiting. In her frantic responses, Melissa spoke of Lucy's excitement about the upcoming dance performance, her vision of a bright future. She was happy, she insisted, struggling to mask the tremor in her voice. I can't believe this is happening. Yet, as the conversation progressed, Sarah noticed subtle changes in Melissa's demeanor. She hesitated, when recounting the last time she saw Lucy. A missed text message loomed heavy in the air. Could secrets fester within their close-knit friendship? Meanwhile, investigators began to scour social media. In the digital realm, Lucy's vibrant persona flourished, but the detectives uncovered something unsettling: messages revealing an unsettling encounter with a stranger just days before her disappearance. The messages hinted at an unsettling tension that erupted into an online conflict, suggesting that this social media interaction could have fed into the broader narrative of a tragic fate. Each new finding only deepened the mystery. As the hours turned into days, Detective Reynolds felt the weight of the community's hope resting squarely on her shoulders. Unseen forces started circling, and the specter of a predator moved among them. Hidden behind familiar faces, the road ahead was riddled with twists and turns, and the truth beckoned from out of the shadows, waiting to be uncovered. The dead ends. As the investigation unfolded, the initial rush of adrenaline began to fade, replaced by the haunting reality of stagnation. The numerous interviews, tips, and pieces of evidence amassed, but still the puzzle remained incomplete. Each lead that surfaced seemed to splinter into a myriad of dead ends. And Detective Sarah Reynolds found herself increasingly frustrated, feeling the mounting pressure from both the community. Weeks passed since Lucy's disappearance, and the town's hope began to ebb like the autumn leaves that curled and fell. The search team combed through the quarry area repeatedly, but the detailed retrace of each grainy layer revealed nothing. Old memories of Lucy's laughter echoed in hollow spaces, and each unfulfilled promise made to the community. Was there something or someone lurking beyond the realm of their trained expertise? Despite piecing together interviews with Lucy's friends and family, the detectives found themselves mired in vague statements and contradictory timelines. One promising lead emerged from an anonymous tip about a suspicious vehicle spotted near the park around the time of Lucy's disappearance. Officers invested countless hours tracing the vehicle's registration, an all-too-familiar black sedan that belonged to a transient living on the edges of town. But upon questioning him, he denied ever seeing Lucy. His alibi checked out, and once again, the lead fizzled into nothingness. With every passing day, the detectives turned over new rocks, only to discover horrid, barren soil beneath. Melissa's previously friendly demeanor morphed into quiet withdrawal, and a strained atmosphere created further tension between friends. Whispered accusations of blame swept through the circles of Lucy's closest companions. Surveillance footage from town failed to capture anything out of the ordinary, and discussions turned into speculation, creating fissures among the community. No one wanted to believe that someone lurking within their midst could shatter their world. Frustrated, Sarah found herself alone in her office one dreary night, surrounded by the remnants of the Cassia flurry of notes, unfulfilled leads, and a board decorated with photographs of Lucy against cheerful backdrops. The passion that had driven her now dimmed, replaced by a troubling sense of hopelessness. What if they couldn't find Lucy? Racked with doubt, she leaned back in her chair, staring at the wall, when a single memory flickered through her mind. The photograph of Lucy and her friends, holding hands and smiling in the park. Perhaps it was time to dig deeper into Lucy's seemingly perfect world, where cracks were starting to form. A realization settled slowly. Sometimes the dead ends led you back to the beginning, searching within the very threads of the life that once were. A break in the case. Just as Sarah Reynolds began to dread breaking the news of stalled progress to the community, a glimmer of hope pierced through the gloom. It was during a routine examination of Lucy's belongings, specifically her journal, when she stumbled across a series of entries that appeared innocuous at first glance, but were edged with an unsettling weight. The words were more than mere thoughts. They revealed a rich tapestry of emotions intertwined with deeper frustrations and exploration of friendship, romance, and a brewing unease. One particular entry caught her attention, dated just a few days before Lucy's disappearance. It hinted at a secret that Lucy had been too nervous to share with Melissa or any of her family. The cryptic language hinted at someone who had entered her life unexpectedly, a boy who had ignited a flicker of excitement but also fear. Was he a friend or a potential threat? With a newfound urgency, Sarah revisited Melissa, determined to understand the context behind Lucy's cryptic words. The meeting took place at a local cafe, where the familiar ambient sounds contrasted starkly with the dark tension that hung between them. Lucy's eyes widened as Sarah read the passages aloud, and the color drained from her face. What was she talking about? Sarah pressed, taking note of Melissa's visibly shaken reaction. Didn't know, Melissa stammered, her voice barely a whisper. She mentioned someone, but it was all by the guy at school. I thought she was just flirting. Sarah leaned in closer, her mind raced. Connecting the dots, she realized that a deeper conversation needed to explore this enigmatic figure. Could he be the mysterious person who had threatened Lucy's world? As Melissa struggled to recall any identifying details, she mentioned a certain classmate who had recently taken an unusual interest in Lucy Derrick, a quiet boy with a troubled past. Rumors circulated about his erratic behavior, and as Sarah heard this, the pieces began to align. Determined to pursue this new land, Sarah requested his records, hoping to uncover any motives that could connect him to Lucy. What would emerge from this thread was still a mystery. But with the signs pointing toward Derrick, it was a risk worth taking. As the first rays of dawn lit the dark, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose driving her forward. The break in the case felt like a spark in the darkness, igniting her resolve to uncover the truth, no matter where it might lead. The suspect, Derrick Lawson, was a quiet, unassuming figure at Maplewood High. Underneath his quiet demeanor, however, lay a tapestry woven with complexities and turmoil. Known to prefer solitude, he often spent lunchtime alone in the back of the cafeteria, lost in sketchbooks filled with intricate designs and dark, twisted illustrations. Rumors swirled among students about his estranged family, his difficulties with rejection, and his struggles with depression. But in a town where secrets lingered silently behind closed doors, few knew the full story. Sarah Reynolds approached Derrick with deliberate caution. She and her team arrived at his home, a dilapidated house more suited to shadows and sunlight. The peeling paint and unkempt yard did little to express any semblance of warmth, creating an atmosphere thick with foreboding. She knocked gently on the door, and moments later, it creaked open to reveal a disheveled figure who appeared startled at the sight of uniformed officers. "Are you Derrick Lawson?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice calm but firm. He nodded slowly, his brow furrowed with confusion. "What's this about?" "We'd like to talk to you about Lucy Miller," she declared, watching his expression carefully. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, swiftly concealed behind an impassive mask. "Lucy didn't do anything," he stammered, a slight tremor betraying the bravado in his tone. Sarah motioned him to sit down, her instincts sharpening. As she engaged him in conversation, she probed into his connection with Lucy. Derek didn't need anything more than casual interaction, his voice laced with an urgency to distance himself from the investigation. Yet, fragments of unease punctured the surface's nervous fidgeting, the bead of sweat trailing down his temple when asked about the rumor surrounding his relationship with Lucy. An unexpected ferocity ignited in Derek. "Why do you care? She never even spoke to me." His outburst startled her, giving way to a deeper, more emotional side of him. As the interrogation unfolded, inconsistencies began to bloom, especially when Sarah inquired about his whereabouts on the day she disappeared. Derek's statements fluctuated erratically. Under the weight of pressure, he stumbled, his account slipping into a tumble of contradictions. Yet despite his evasiveness, there was something in his watery eyes, an unsettling mix of fear and anguish that suggested deeper depths to explore. Sarah sensed that they were merely scratching the surface of a troubled soul, whose hidden pains might reveal vital information. But would it be enough to tie him to Lucy's fate? One thing was clear. Derek Lawson was not just an innocent bystander in their unraveling narrative. The shadows danced in the corners of his mind, and as he reluctantly shared his memories, Sarah felt she was peeling back layers of dark. The truth lurked beyond the feeble facade, waiting for someone brave enough to grasp it. The trial. Months had passed since Lucy Miller's disappearance. Yet the emotional scars ran deep. The community of Maplewood had become a tapestry of grief, anger, and determination, each thread woven tighter in the face of uncertainty. When the news of Derek Lawson's arrest broke, it sent shockwaves through the town. What once felt like a haunting mystery was now poised to unfold in the courtroom. As the trial approached, the atmosphere shifted. Courthouse steps, normally a place of solemnity and reflection, buzzed with a frantic energy. Reporters crowded to capture every glimpse of the small-town drama unfolding before them, and families driven by sorrow and anger lined the hallways, searching for answers amidst the chaos. Dara Reynolds, bearing the weight of the investigation, knew that this was the moment the community had long awaited, a chance for closure. Inside the courtroom, Derek Lawson sat quietly at the defendant's table, his demeanor a mix of defiance and resignation. As proceedings began, the tension in the air thickened, causing it to crackle with the weight of unspoken emotion. Prosecutors painted a damning portrait of Derek, detailing the timeline that connected him to Lucy's final hours. They invoked Lucy's journal entries, presenting them as evidence, snippets of her fear, her anxiety, key elements that betrayed a connection to the accused. Witness after witness took the stand in their memories of Lucy, her vibrant spirit, and the lasting impact of her absence. Each testimony resonated, wrapping around the jurors like a shroud of collective sorrow, as they heard the echo of Lucy's laughter transforming into whispers of grief. Up in stark contrast, when Derek's defense team presented their case, it was marked by a desperate urge to unravel the odds, portraying him as a misunderstood youth seeking help. They challenged the lack of concrete evidence tying him to the alleged crime, emphasizing the absence of forensic traces. As the days dragged on, Sarah found herself embroiled in her own emotions, feeling the weight of each person's grief like a palpable wave. During the prosecution's final argument, She listened intently, observing the steady gaze of Lucy's parents as they grappled with their loss. They had placed their faith in the justice system, hoping for a conclusion that would bring some semblance of peace. Yet, unbeknownst to all, the trial was about to take an unexpected turn. New evidence emerged: an anonymous letter containing confessions from someone claiming to have witnessed Lucy's last moments. The courtroom fell silent, the air thick with anticipation. The brave soul who stepped forward, emboldened by the growing tension within the community, might just tip the scales of justice. As the pieces began to assemble in front of an eager jury, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that while this trial was a singular chapter in the narrative of Maplewood, it was only the beginning of a long, difficult journey toward healing. With hidden truths struggling to break free from the surface, her resolve to uncover the full story renewed. This case had many layers yet to reveal. The aftermath. As the final verdict echoed through the courtroom, Derek Lawson, found guilty on all counts. The balance of justice hung heavy in the air. The verdict did not come as a surprise to those who had followed the trial. The evidence was compelling, and the emotional weight of the testimonies had forged an unyielding connection between the jurors and Lucy's tragic story. Yet as relief washed over Lucy's family, they were also confronted by the reality of their immense loss. Closure eluded them like the autumn leaves swirling in the wind. Beautiful and ephemeral, the days following the trial were a blur of media coverage and public conversations that dominated Maplewood. Town hall meetings convened, discussions swirling around safety, community responsibilities, and the need for mental health resources. The tragedy had unfolded in their midst, and the resonance of fear lingered like a thick fog, casting a long shadow over the quaint neighborhood they once took for granted. Sarah Reynolds watched as the community began to heal together, gathering at memorials that celebrated Lucy's life and art. Vibrant murals paid homage to her creativity, while candlelight vigils served as reminders of the brighter days that had been marred by tragedy. Each flickering flame represented not just mourning, but hope, a promise that Lucy's spirit would never be forgotten. Yet, in the shadows of the town, remnants of lingering doubt persisted. Derek's defense team had vowed to appeal the verdict, citing mishandling of evidence and accusations of bias during the trial. Whispers of potential wrongful imprisonment crept through the cracks, igniting fresh rounds of debate. A few residents began to wonder if they had overlooked vital details, sowing seeds of uncertainty. Overwhelmed by emotions both conflicting and complex, Sarah immersed herself in her work, continuing her role as the unyielding guardian of justice. But even she could not deny the effects of the case that had rattled her foundations. Dreams haunted her at night, visions of Lucy, colored by the weight of unfulfilled potential, reminding her of the responsibility she bore. As winter approached, a sense of calm settled over the town, the air crisp and biting while snow gently blanketed the earth. It was within this stillness that the echoes of the past began to fade. People moved on, but the shared experience of tragedy lingered, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, unity and love could help light the way forward. Yet for Sarah, the journey had only just begun. In the search for closure, she found herself compelled to delve deeper into the complexities of the truth surrounding Lucy's life, revealing the connections that would lead toward understanding not just the crime, but the human hearts entwined within it. Maplewood had embraced its skies, and so too would Shara building and reshaping the story for generations to come, ensuring that Lucy's flame would continue to illuminate their path. Reflection. As the chill of winter wrapped Maplewood in a frosty embrace, Sarah Reynolds found herself at a crossroads, lost in reflection as she drove down the familiar streets that had changed so drastically in the past few months. The snow blanketed the landscape, erasing the marks left behind by the chaos. But the memories lingered in her mind like ghosts, whispering reminders of the community's struggles, losses, and resilience. Daily life seemed to have adjusted to the new normal. Yet beneath the surface of tranquility, unresolved emotions simmered. Sarah grappled with her role in the storied guardian of truth and seeker of justice. Despite the verdict, she pondered the blurred lines of guilt and innocence, recognizing the complexities of human nature. Derek Lawson had become a symbol of the town's collective pain, a reminder that behind every crime are fractured lives and shattered dreams. A visit to Lucy's memorial garden brought solace in the midst of turmoil as she listened to the whispers of winter winds rustling through the trees. Sarah found herself contemplating the delicate balance between justice and understanding. How often were others overlooked in pursuit of a singular truth? The sense of responsibility weighed heavily on her heart, igniting a spirit of advocacy within.